Which countries will have the largest economies by 2100? There are three big determinants: population, how productive your citizens are, and will your country remain intact. The first depends strongly on your population. More so as population growth in most places is slowing towards a rate of 0. The second depends on how long you've been growing, and whether your culture's institutions support growth. By then, most countries will have been growing for a while. And better institutions seem to be something many cultures have been willing to choose. Think East Asia. Put those two together, and India will be the largest, China second, and the U.S. probably third. America could be passed by some other countries with large populations: Pakistan, Brazil, Nigeria, for example, but I think the American lead is too big. In the long run, net immigration and Americans having more kids than other rich countries will win out. The third point is tougher. Will India and China stick together? America tried that, and I don't see it happening again. I think a lot of parts will peel off of China. But I don't think they're large parts, so China's population will stay quite large. There might be some south-north split, and that would clearly make a difference. That seems unlikely. I would not be at all surprised if India fractured a bit. So many changes are coming their way from having a large economy that no one will know how to react. China has picked the low-hanging fruit. It will be difficult for them to continue the growth of recent decades. They have also entered the middle-income trap, but arrogantly are in denial, claiming that the rules of economics that apply to everybody else don't apply to them. Unless they get over this attitude, they will never fully realize their potential. Europe is far too socialist and fragmented, and protectionist to take the lead. Russia is going backwards, and India, the last possible contender, has far too much ground to make up and intractable problems to solve. Germany and Japan are just not big enough, same applies to UK. Brazil and Indonesia have, like India, too many institutional problems that are not easily resolved. Closing parenthesis. I'm surprised that everyone's mentioning China and India. I know population counts a lot in the economy, but China and India are the most populous now. 100 years is a lot. Just look at the technological innovations and the steady shifting in the world maps that have taken place in the last century. Empires were broken down, colonies gained independence, China rose to prominence, a lot has gone down. Now imagine 100 years later taking history into account. There are lots of possibilities. Endless, really. A little event could radically change the world order. Personally, I have my money on African nation. Africa has the numbers, diversity, resources, market, it's all there. In 100 years, an African states might get leaders who care about the nations that were thrust upon them by the colonizers, stand up to the West and uplift his people. After that, it's easy to imagine other African countries going the same way, or the aforementioned state conquering neighboring nations or just persuading them to form some union. God knows Africa has too many countries, each with its own leeches, politicians. IRST of all, we cannot know if there will be countries in 2100. The most desirable way for the world is that there wouldn't. Instead, we would have a world government which would be the only country on Earth, and of course then there would be only one economy too. But who knows? At least I'm sure we'll have open borders by then. What comes to population, China's population is expected to be less than 1 billion in 2100. India would have the largest population with 1.7 billion people. North American and European population would be around 700 million. African population would be about 4.5 billion. However, some of these predictions seem very unlikely to me. Let's start with India. I think that due to globalization, more Indians and other Asians want to move abroad, and therefore the population won't be that high. The West. This is maybe the most argued one. Without doubt the EU and North America will be the most desired places for immigration. So I would be surprised if either of these places will have less than 1 billion population in 2100. Due to cultural and social globalization, it seems extremely unlikely that European or American population will decline.